Good to have you with us this morning.
Delighted to be here.
Lots of talk in all of the papers about benefits, the two-child benefit cap. If you look at the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, they say 4.3 million children are facing poverty. On the front page of the papers this morning, Daily Mail, Kemi Badenoch says it will be a race to the bottom. Is it really a race to the bottom to support the youngest in society?
Well, let's be very clear. Actually, the two-child benefit cap doesn't apply when you've got, say, multiple births or, actually, when you've got disabled children. So let's actually have a look at it. What this is all about at the moment is Labour and Reform fighting over benefits. And we all know who ends up paying for that. We all know that's taxpayers. Kemi's made it very clear. She doesn't want to take part in that race to the bottom when it comes to just saying we're going to spend more public money. She wants to have us, as a society, in a situation where we are lowering taxes for working people. We're not constantly promising more giveaways in terms of benefits. And the truth is that money could only come from two places. That's taxpayers or more borrowing, which is just deferred taxation. So I think she's actually being upfront and honest with people, where we're seeing Keir Starmer now, big question marks. What is Labour's actually policy in this space? And Farage is now promising between 50 and 80 billion pounds worth of giveaways. Giveaways from taxpayers, which means more taxes. Do
you not look isolated, though, here as a party? Because to the right of you guys, roughly, Reform think it's a good idea. It looks increasingly to the left of you. Labour...
Reform aren't to the right of the Conservatives on these issues. Right? It's pretty clear. This is what we've seen since the general election is Labour's vote absolutely shatter away, and Reform are now chasing Labour votes, and they're chasing it with giveaways on benefits. This is exactly the same policy that Nigel Farage is pursuing as Jeremy Corbyn was pursuing just a few years ago. And it's hardly surprised to see Keir Starmer leading into that. After all, Keir Starmer was in Corbyn's shadow cabinet at the time. The Conservatives are opposed to this. We studied control, really get benefits under control when we're in office. A big part of that was actually helping get disabled people into work. In the run-up to 2022, before the pandemic, over 1.3 million extra disabled people in work. I think that's what people want to see. I think they want to see us giving opportunity to people, but I don't think that the way to do that is to just give increasing handouts, which means increasing taxes.
Would you make changes to winter fuel payments?
Look, we've been very clear. We opposed what happened under the Labour Party. We'll have to see what happens in the fiscal position which we inherit from Labour down the line, but that's part of us not making promises that we cannot deliver. I think it's very important, though, that we were very clear. We were the party who invested with pensioners in that triple lock, which has really lifted the pension, and we protected the winter fuel payment while we were in government. But I think it's very important, and down the line we will be obviously very clear with what we do post the general election. But it's quite clear that what we will not do, and Kemi's made this very clear in her article today, is we will not make promises we can't keep. We saw that with Keir Starmer at the general election. He said that he wouldn't increase national insurance. He has done. That's hammering businesses and jobs right across the country. And I think the same promises are coming from Nigel Farage now. Tens of billions of pounds a year of extra spending, no idea of how to pay for it.
So it kind of sounds like you can't promise that if you're in government that you could help keep pensioners warmer, and you can't promise that you'd help feed young people.
No, that's absolutely not.
So what are they supposed to be hearing from you?
That's absolutely not true. We are the party of fiscal responsibility. That's what Kemi has been pointing out this morning.
Record high taxes under you.
Well, actually, record high taxes now, right?
But they started under the previous government.
Let's be very clear. We were paying back from the support we provided during the pandemic, and taxes are starting to come down. We started to cut national insurance. That's totally the reverse of what Labour's done. Labour are putting taxes up now. We had a clear direction of travel, and we will have a clear direction of travel going forwards. It's clear that we're the only party committed to lower taxes in the future. Labour and Reform are now arguing about how much they can tax you and then give away your own money back to you.
How do you feel when you see the Prime Minister hastily organise a press conference after Nigel Farage holds one the day before, but he doesn't hastily organise a press conference when Kemi Badenoch speaks? Are you feeling that you're isolated, that you're losing relevance in the political landscape? You look at the papers today, there's very little about the Conservatives. Yes, you've got the front page of the Mail, but there's very little about what you guys are doing. You've not got a press release out this morning that government's got things they want to talk about. You're here, we're grateful to have you, but you're not putting much out of it.
Well, I think on the front page of the Mail, and also when you look at the big issue on the front page of the Times and the Telegraph as well, about Lord Hermer's comments, attacking basically Conservative Party policy, on what we're wanting to do, which is to get control of our borders and able to deport people. Him attacking that as, some form of, Nazi policy. I mean, when it comes to it, it's the Conservatives making the weather. It's Chris Philp making the weather on those issues, wanting to pull us out of those, the ability of people people to use the Human Rights Act to try and stay in the UK if they've arrived here illegally. It's Mel Stride making the weather, attacking the Labour Party.
It's Robert Jenrick making the weather.
It's Robert Jenrick making the weather.
Kenny Babe
as well.
not struggling to do
Kenny
that.
Babe not on the front page of the Mail today. Literally, I've mentioned her multiple times in this interview.
He's getting 3 million views on Facebook and social media. She struggles.
I want us all, we've got a party, a big party, and we are there with a full shadow cabinet of people who are taking the fight to Labour. And you also look at the education space as well, right? It's the Conservatives who in government really delivered proper radical reform of our education system, transforming life chances for millions of young people up and down the country. It's Laura Trott and Neil O'Brien making the arguments there now on the education side, from the Conservative side. We're not even hearing any of that from Labour or Reform. They want to take us backwards in that space. And I think actually when you see that broader Conservative team, you see a team that is wanting to drive the country forwards. Yes, obviously we've got to reflect on what went wrong over 14 years, but there's also some really good stuff in there. And I'm really worried, particularly when it comes to the economy, that we are going to see both Labour and Reform in this race to the bottom actually taking us back to a place we do not want to be, which is where we started back in 2010.
I just want to say one other thing. You talk about hearing from people. We've heard from the Chinese ambassador to Mauritius, who said that a massive achievement had been obtained, that massive congratulations were in order for Mauritius getting sovereignty back of the Chagos Islands, and that China was looking forward to enhanced cooperation, economic cooperation, trade cooperation, investment, finance and infrastructure with Mauritius. Your party hated that deal. What do you make of those comments? Well,
and there's a reason we hated that deal, because of exactly those comments. Mauritius never had sovereignty over the Chagos Islands, which is obviously, a part of Chinese government propaganda. I think this is a betrayal of our country, the way that the government's just rolled over and has surrendered in this place, and was also making us pay over £100 million a year for the privilege. And with people like Lord Hermer there, who's widely criticised today in the press, and rightly so. Again, the man behind this, a man who also was leading the charge for Jerry Adams not that long ago as well. I think we've got a government led by a lawyer with all these lefty lawyers in there who just are not acting in the UK national interest. They are so detached from the reality of people in my own constituency and up and down the country and what they feel about our country. I think that's one of the reasons we've seen this total collapse in Labour's support up and down the country so quickly.
The Prime Minister previously said that there was a column of countries opposed to the Chagos deal with Mauritius. It was Russia, China and Iran.
Yes, he did say that.
China then said he was lying. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's quite clear, wasn't it? We've just heard from the Chinese ambassador. They love this deal, right? The Chinese, totally in bed with the Russians, they all like this deal because this deal is in their interest. It's not in the British national interest. It's not in the interest of our allies up and across the world. And I think it's a surrender deal. And it's pretty clear, not only is it a surrender deal, but the Prime Minister has signed us up to paying for the privilege. And I think it's an absolute disgrace.
David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary in the Arctic, talking about national security. What does this situation mean for national security?
Well, it's quite clear that this is not in the British national interest. Therefore, it's not in our long-term national security interest. Now, when it comes to David Lammy and Labour, we've all seen the comments that they've made over the years. They're more interested in virtue signalling to certain elements of their, of their friends within the, elite establishment than they are in acting in Britain's national interest. I think it's a very dangerous place for us to be when we're surrendering British territory and the privilege and paying for the privilege of doing it. I don't like what Labour are doing on this issue, but also on those big domestic issues as well. And I think we need to call them out all the time. And it's the Conservatives who are doing that, whether it's Kemi at PMQs, going after Chagos, whether it's Robert Jenrick, actually highlighting those issues that we're facing around justice in London, whether it's Mel Stride hammering Labour on the economy, or whether it's the Conservative education team actually calling out, what Labour are going to do, which is reverse some of those really important changes, which has transferred the life chances of millions.
Shadow Paymaster General Richard Holden, thank you.
Thank you.